It took us 10 years to get the double D's. I know I'm not trying to be greedy, but yeah. I mean,
I like double D's too.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, we are back. Welcome back to So Well Media. We're here with season 2 of Daredevil Born Again, which will be streaming on Disney Plus on March 24th. It's our spoiler review. Time of this recording, the first episode has dropped and will be 1 week episodes that'll be released weekly. I'm here with Jay King and here with also Phil. Phil, how you doing, man?
I'm cool, man. How are you doing?
Doing good. I'm very excited to watch the show with you guys, and this has been a great start to the show. But I'll start with you, Phil. Just coming off where we were with Daredevil season 1, Born Again, coming back after being reshot, coming back, resanctifying this character back within the MCU, and also bringing back Wilson Fisk and also a few other characters, whether temporarily or not. And now here we are now in the current second season of Matt Murdock in the MCU. What was your thoughts in terms of how this season started off?
I gotta be honest, I think that structurally it's a little bit like the first episode of season 1 of Born Again, in that in the most basic sense, you have Daredevil action in the beginning, a lot of exposition throughout the center of the episode, action here and there, and then at the end you get a bombastic action-paced fight with Daredevil and other characters. And I will say, I think that this first episode is stronger than episode 1 of season 1. I think this definitely lays the foundation a lot better for the season to come. Whereas, the first season opener was a lot, tug and pull. You could see the seams of where things were changed. You could see certain things, where this one, it just feels very straight up. Here, we're dropped right into the action, and the stage is set for what is to come in season 2. That's kind of where I'm at. What about you, King? How about you?
I definitely have to agree. It's like season 1, you could tell where, one showrunner from another, you could tell where there was some, the threading of the needle to try and make things work. But I think here it's a lot more cohesive, because unlike the first season, we have one showrunner, one creative team, the ones that did the first episode and the last 2 episodes. And so it's like everything feels tightly knit, things make sense, things flow from one thing to another. Callbacks from earlier in the episode come back, callbacks from other things in the MCU that would make sense for this, start to weave its head in. And again, it's just, it feels cleaner. Like, it feels like what we got within that first episode, which is of season 1, but just a lot cleaner, in terms of where these characters are and where New York is right now under Mayor Fisk. So very good episode. Very first good episode, I gotta say.
Yeah, I think for me, this was just a great start. That I do agree, this was a better first episode than season 1, because we're kind of leading into the big shock value of the death of Foggy, but here we're getting the aftermath. Like, no, we're not wasting no time. New York is in martial law. We're also going into the same style of using media in a way of telling where we are narratively, or the atmosphere, and also the sway of public opinion and how the media is used to as propaganda to keep the peace and everything. And it's showing just how corrupt the system is and everything. And again, one thing, my biggest issue, again, when I talk about addressing politics in movies or television, is the fact that there is a sense of disassociation of like, okay, well, yeah, I understand what you're trying to do, but actually, how is, even though stuff going on in our political climate right now in real life, is that, are you just making this as a parody, or actually allowing this to be part of the narrative story that's actually enhancing the reality of what's going on, right? But at the same time, because it's homage of what's going on in our culture right now, it just makes it more real and authentic, and instead of just kind of like copy and paste. Well, yeah, I know who Kingpin is. He's a figure of who. So it's like, I think with this, what they did here was narratively use just terms of where Wilson Fisk is at, how he's using now his new anti-vigilante police force, but also same time he's still Kingpin, and how he's getting shipment of guns and everything into New York City without being, seen and everything. And I like that. First, also, when we start off with this episode, again, after now almost 10 years, we finally have Matt Murdock with the double D's, on this suit. And I don't know what about it. It's just like there's a couple of shots in here that keep reminding guys, we got the double D's in the camera. Yeah, double D's again. Here you go. Right. Just to remind you, hey, it took us 10. We asked this for 10 years. Well, you got it. But I really thought the design of this full on effect of him now in this black suit, but now just like he's not pulling any punches. And also we got return of Karen Page, who now is in a full on relationship with Matt. No time wasted, no time, picking up, which I actually appreciate that, knowing your audience. Like, listen, I've already spent several of my high school years of watching their relationship form, and so and everything, and now to the point, like, do we have to redo this again? No, this is like your old friend, you remember, and now we're just picking up where we left off, regardless of the time that we've had. And I thought that was actually interesting. But what was your thoughts, Phil, in terms of where we pick off Matt Murdock, and now also him now in a relationship with Karen, and trying to do what you can at this point to stop this corruption within New York City?
I actually had a thought when I saw Matt and Karen start getting hot and heavy. I was like, are they going to commit to what happens in the comics and kill her by the end of the season? I mean, hey, he lost Foggy in the last season. I could see a situation where something happens to Karen at the end of this season and Matt is in a full-blown left with no one at all. I could see that being a possibility. Just on the episode itself, bringing them back together, it is nice. I think you and I are kind of in lockstep in that, and having watched the first 3 seasons of the Netflix show, and of course Born Again, it was nice to see that kind of be flourished and explored in a way that finally you as a fan of Charlie Cox and Deborah Ann Wool as these characters finally they're finally a thing. They don't have to. I mean, they have to hide it, but they don't have to hide it to each other from each other anymore. And I think that's really excellent. As far as him in the black suit, I'm a Shadowland fan. I love black suit Daredevil. That is my jam, straight up. And if they want to throw some metal on the shoulder pads and the knees, I will not say no. That is one of my favorite suits of Daredevil. I know I'm on an island when it comes to that, but hey, I visually love the look of that suit. But what we're getting here, it was nice. It was really nice to see. And as far as Kingpin, kind of doing the Kingpin thing, but also being the mayor, definitely we're seeing that in full force. And I think, the way that Matt has to go about it, he has to be very, careful, but he's doing it in the right way. I think going after, you want to expose this mayor to be this, evil, heinous person that he is. But at the same time, to your point, when they've got, the BB York report kind of showcasing, the propaganda pieces that are there for Kingpin. Oh, he's doing a great job cleaning up the city. You have, these city folk who are convinced that Mayor Fisk is doing such a great job, and they are just turning a blind eye at all of the other things that are probably coming out about him. And I find that eerily very funny for ironic real world reasons, as anyone could probably guess. But bring it back to Daredevil, I gotta say, it's going to be really interesting to see just how far this gets blown up, because this is just the beginning, right? Like, we see that this boat called North Star capsizes because it's got a bunch of military grade weaponry in it, and Fisk is not happy. Like, he had a whole weapon shipment he basically just had to dump in the ocean, and now he's got to figure out how to clean it up, and now the government's breathing down his neck, and that opens up a whole can of worms for him.
Yeah, and with that, we see in terms of going into Kingpin's world, now that he's fully a mayor, now fully has control of the system, that there's also new characters that are responding to his nefarious acts and everything. And we get introduced to a new character named Mr. Charles, who's played by Matthew Lillard. I would just to say, just every scene that Matthew Lillard has been in this one singular episode has just been a chef's kiss. And again, much as I'm a Tarantino fan, to hell with you, the saying this, because honestly, it's not about standing for an actor and everything. It's just like, no, you actually are giving credit where credit is due. And this dude is not half-assing his performance at all, and it's very strategic how they're placing him, and knowing that he just is when he goes into a scene, he's commanding a presence that he's not, I won't say overly boastful, and he's very meticulous just because of his charisma, that it just demands that level of like, hey, we don't know your intentions, but we love watching you, so we're just gonna be quiet and pay attention. That is very good in terms of scenes of how Wilson Fisk is responding, how Vanessa is responding, especially that scene in the dinner table. Just how it's like, hey, are we gonna talk the business or from a wife or whatever, and also know everyone by name. I already know who you are before I walk in the room, and that again, that's just demanding power in a sense of, and we don't know what his true intentions are later down the road. Offering Fisk this opportunity to like, hey, listen, like, I can help, tighten up these things, make it seem like accidents and other stuff like that, make people go away. But you're getting sloppy, man. I'm just telling you, you want to actually do this thing, hey, you're going to need me.
So I think we should address the connection that he has to another character in the MCU. Because when he shows up to Fisk's office and, you have the governor, the lieutenant governor there, and Mr. Charles is like, you're probably going to want to answer that to the governor. And the governor's looking at his phone like, who the hell's calling me? Oh, okay, Miss Fontaine.
Freaking Val. Which makes sense. She is the type of character that type of thing, especially with her new Avengers in New York as well. That makes a lot of sense, that you're gonna want to talk to her when it comes to your whole martial law, your whole vigilante task force, Fisk. Which, that connection, that mention was great. That was great. And I also just gotta say, like y'all have said, like, Matthew Lillard, he is chewing the scenery. Like, he's not half-assing any of this shit. This man came in and he's overtaking, well, I wouldn't say overtake, okay, well, at least for right now, overtaking Fisk right now, and just turns like he's threatening without having to throw his fists at anyone right now. Like, he is that type of character that he knows who he is, he knows what he can do, and he's just like, what can I do that makes you want to work for me, sort of energy, if you catch my drift, so it's going to be very interesting to see where Mr. Charles goes, how much reach he got, because if he's got reach to Val, who else does he have? Not just within the United States, who else does he got in his pocket right now, or who else could he call upon, for a favor? But also, can we just quickly talk about, right? But also, can we quickly talk about we talk about Matt and his current love life. Let's talk about his old love life that's starting to go off the deep end, because she is starting to lose it. Because the trauma from Muse last season is making her start to do some shady shit. She is falsifying documents, and especially for a Mr. Swordsman, Mr. Jack Duquesne, returning from Hawkeye and from the first season of Born Again. She is just, I'm not going to be surprised if she ends up wearing Muse's mask at the end of towards the end of the season, just to feel some comfort. I'm starting to feel like they're like, look, we got rid of Muse too fast, so we're going to need somebody to put on that mask.
Yeah, I felt, and again, I think her being like, I think she's a behavioral therapist, I believe.
Yes.
It's just like, it's giving a sense of, even her, she's being broken and being mentally, challenged, with especially with that episode of season 1 of Born Again, what she went through. Like, no one, in the right mind would go out the same way, moving forward, right? And with that changes her, but then that corrupts her, in terms of, her inner demons and stuff that she's also suppressing, possibly also increasing alcoholism, which we'll see. But and I've liked that, because again, it's showing that there's broken individuals on both sides, of the camp here, and just kind of making sure, like, even though my people might be on the wrong side, but they're still, they still have internal demons that they're struggling with. We'll also see with new other returning characters like BB Urge, see that she's also being slightly might be compromised again, where friendship with the Sopranos kid, who's rightfully, again, he has a long career. I am, every time I see him, I'm championing him for, just to have more opportunities to see him, expand just as an actor and stuff. But he's doing a really good job, just getting his footing and everything. And
Gandolfini Jr. Well, not Jr., but the son of the late James Gandolfini, I believe, is the actor playing Daniel. He also had a Godfather poster up in his house. That was, that was a fun nod. That was a real fun nod.
Yes. Yes.
I want to touch on something real quick about Mr. Charles, and that it's something that I think is interesting to think about, because think in the effect of like Kingpin has control over New York City. He is effectively martial law, right? And then this new character, Mr. Charles, comes in and basically says, "Hey, you want to arm wrestle?" What we're seeing is them in a lockstep of an arm wrestle of who has more power. It's a straight up power play. I think this is the first time Wilson Fisk has encountered someone that he just can't make a phone call to get rid of. This is someone that is coming up to him and going, "Yeah, we're on even footing. So if you don't do what I say, there will be drastic consequences for your actions." He even tells him, like, straight up, like, "You kind of fucked up, dude. You capsized a boat full of military grade weaponry in the middle of New York City. Now I have to clean up your mess." This is the first time Wilson Fisk has ever encountered someone like that. This is kind of goes even above Daredevil. I would even say that Mr. Charles might spook him a little more than Daredevil.
Yeah, and it's intriguing to see in terms of looking at like where he's going to lean moving forward. It just because again, every scene Matthew's in, I'm just gonna eat it up, and process, everything afterwards with that, and not trying to formulate any type of expectations in terms of where he can go, but definitely the challenging in that, and even in his body language too, how he walks in, again, that just puts him as an actor, how he, again, commanding the presence, but just being relaxed and just authentic in terms of who he is, and not have to overly act or be theatrical, if that makes sense, or like a fool or jester to kind of seem like, oh, I'm this crazy person, and they're like, no, you don't know who I am, and that probably is the crazy thing, you don't know, but as we are going to basically Daredevil, and not basically we're having the DAs and the anti-vigilante trials that are happening and stuff, and people are getting picked off one by one, and then I forgot the guy's name, who basically we found out he was having a heart attack at the end. Well, what was his name?
Retired Officer Cherry.
Yeah,
Cherry. Right. That whole scene was just, how do I put that even into words? It's like that was a struggle, because like that was putting Matt into PTSD from Foggy again, to the fact that he was thrown off balance and unmasked by this task force. Never in my life would I have thought they would have gotten the best of Murdock in the entirety from the Netflix series to now. But it's just that one moment, I'm just like, oh goddamn. Good thing
in fairness,
they're dead.
Well, there's that, but also keep in mind, like, Matt kind of brought it on himself, because Cherry even knew, like, once he heard them fucking pounding on the door, he was like, all right, done. Like, Cherry knew Matt going to save him is a consequence, and it almost became a much bigger consequence. Luckily enough for Matt, there was someone out there who eye for an eye, if so to speak. And I think also just the way we got Cherry to where he is, right? Like throughout the episode, he's at McDuffie and Murdock Murdock and McDuffie doing work for Matt's partner. I forget her first name, but the attorney McDuffie, and he's kind of like, I've got nothing going on. I'm retired, but you got to give me a little something to, help you out. And both her and Matt are like, bro, we're under martial law. Damn good and well we need your help. And he's like, all right, fine. But you guys keep, like, I thought it was funny how he was just like, you guys keep giving me the guilt trip. He's totally like the old uncle who doesn't want to help but is going to help anyway, and I like that about him. But yes. I would also agree with King that in that when he started fucking having the heart attack, I was like, don't you dare. Don't you do not do season 1 over again. We already lost Foggy. Do not take Cherry away from me. Come on.
All right. Check that blood pressure. But and I love the way how this episode ended with, as soon as again he got caught off guard in a way that's like, come on, Matt, you knew better. And then he thought, okay, so this is gonna be a new shift that they know his identity and everything, and all of a sudden, nope, there's a knife that gets thrown in there and they're killing everybody. And then, or actually no, there was a bullet that got shot.
Gunshots, then the knife.
Then the knife came in, and then the knife was engraved, "You're welcome," which emphasized that's Bullseye, which I have to say has probably got to be one, and now I guess you can include it in the MCU now, but it's like one of the best written street level villain characters that has, I think, has ever been written, and not only because what we got from Daredevil season 3, but to like the way. I mean, they did this far surpassed Colin Farrell and Daredevil, but I'm saying is that the fact of the way he's able to throw these projectiles in a very unrealistic way, but at the same time it's just a dangerous way. Like, yo, we hear multiple villains throughout Marvel and DC like, oh, he can make anything he has into a weapon. Like, no, this guy can take anything and use as a weapon. There's a difference. Like, yeah, I shoot a gun, but like, no, there's a difference. Even Deadshot probably like it will. Can't even get this dude. It's like, I'm just keeping a buck. But I love the way they do this and how the visual effects in this of how they do that when he's throwing knives, throwing projectiles and everything. I cannot wait to see what he does in this season when he's having fun doing it. It's like, that's the thing. It's like when he's unhinged, he was already unhinged now before, but just like now, and I know he's still, his suit is comic accurate, but like I would like to see the black and white, Bullseye costume. But again, if they don't have to, it's fine. But it just, as we get it took us 10 years to get the double Ds. I know I'm not trying to be greedy, but yeah. I'm not trying to be greedy, He say so. But anyway,
I like double Ds too.
Yeah, and I'm just saying this. You gotta be grateful for what you get.
100%.
Yeah,
no back problems here.
Yeah, but in terms of what you guys, your final thoughts this episode? I'll start with you, Phil.
Okay, so the people that it's essentially like a chicken hunt or a rat race to get these two. Now one. The people who abandoned the ship and left it to rot, right? Like they are clearly on the manifesto. They are probably on Fisk's payroll, and if they talk, then it is not going to look good for Mr. Fisk. Or rather, if the one guy left talks, it is definitely not going to look good for Mayor Fisk. I would also say that the whole Mr. Robot fake Kingpin thing, yeah, that was awesome. When that came up, I was like, man, Mr. Robot's so good, and they pulled from the perfect. That was the perfect thing to homage. I thought that was really cool. Overall, though, I think again, I'm just going to reiterate what I said up top. I think this is a much better and cleaner, opener for a season than the first one was. This is definitely much more concrete and much more to the point, and it's very telling that they know what they want to do with this season based on this season 1 opener. So 9 out of 10.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, J. King.
Same thing for me. It's like this was a really, really good opener. And as I said before, back in the beginning of this, it's like they have a lot more confidence than they did in the first season, not just with the fact that it's not two ideals being stitched together into something cohesive. It's the fact that they know what type of story they want to tell, and they know how they want to get it done. So this was just a really good opening to what I hope to be a really good season. And we'll see how far Fisk's reign goes, whether it's a very devil's reign or if it goes into something completely different. What other characters are set to appear that we don't know? How far this is going to reach? How many sacrifices Matt is going to have to make? There's just a lot to anticipate, but this first episode has me extremely ready for Bullseye's, for Fisk's inevitable confrontation. How long that takes for at least one of them, we'll see. But yeah, no, I'm here for this. I'm so ready. We're so back, and we're back with the double Ds. You can't go wrong with double Ds, baby.
Mm-hmm. Never. But yeah, especially with the aerials. But anyway, one thing I really appreciate with this episode, again, it sets the pace for a very great and strong season going into it, because I'm not gonna say Born Again was not without its flaws, because it definitely have some. Obviously, just in terms of its creation of being rewritten mid season and everything, and now here we are to actually get a better clean slate moving forward. Again, I love the addition of Matthew Lillard, Mr. Charles. Looking forward to that. Again, I'm really interested in seeing Bullseye returning as well, along with Karen Page. Again, we know who else is coming. Jessica Jones. I'm seeing how that's going to be incorporated.
Don't forget, Foggy's coming back.
And Foggy, in what capacity? Right. Correct.
Is a flashbacks or is it something
I think
else?
they confirmed flashbacks. They did say Eldon Hansen would be in season 2, so he will show up at some point.
Yeah, so we'll still get some new faces and returning faces coming in coming episodes and everything. But this was really good. But yeah, I think
you guys.
Yes.
Over under. Do Luke Cage and Iron Fist show up?
Over Luke Cage, under Iron Fist.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
I'm with you there.
It makes sense for Luke to show up, especially with his position at the end of his show. Iron Fist, not sure. I'd much rather Colleen, but even she said that she's not in this season. But we'll see if she was lying or not.
Yeah, but the only reason why I would say with Luke is because with Jessica, Kristen, she said there was a story beat that she wanted to do, and she said, and she can't say what it is because they're doing it, and I'm just saying, listen, I think she's pregnant, but so yeah, and I think they're probably far married, possibly. So yes,
maybe.
but
I think that's a possibility. But since these 2 seasons have taken some inspiration from Devil's Reign, I don't think it's out of the possibility that Luke Cage would be the one to run against Mayor Fisk.
That's what I was going to say.
As a finale, he's the one who puts his hat in the ring to become the next mayor. I could see that being a possibility too.
Yeah, and he wins. So it's like Devil's Reign comic ends with Luke becoming mayor of New York, and it's still a thing to this day. So it could be.
True.
Yes, and again, we'll get more information when we see Kristen come back an episode. Like, where the hell have you been, girl? So it's like, so that's what we need, some of that, her backstory again, and also where Luke Cage ended off in almost in a similar position than what Kingpin has been. And that's like, hey, you want to go and strive for politics? Be my guest. It's like, I think that'd be a perfect position for him to run for mayor at the end of season 2. But yeah, only time will tell. We'll stay tuned. But make sure you hit the subscribe button, comment, like, and share. Let us know your thoughts on Daredevil season 2, episode 1 of Born Again. Again, we'll be back next week for episode 2, and we'll be also having our episode reviews for Invincible. We should be also at this time be recording for The Boys and all that stuff and everything. CinemaCon, all that stuff. We're busy, man. We're busy next couple months and everything. So we'll give you
very much
the best content possible. Make sure you guys subscribe to Unfiltered YouTube channel. I make sure I put all the description and links and everything in the description of this video. But make sure you hit the subscribe button, comment, like, and share. We'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.